hearings and complying with the Office of Court Administration directives and orders that the proceedings be live streamed over the court's YouTube channel, ostensibly to provide access to the public to the courts as spectators. I do not believe, supposedly that is to satisfy the open courts clause of the Texas Constitution. I'm stating on the record that I do not believe that's what the open courts clause to the Texas Constitution is talking about or requires. Nevertheless, we are providing that live streaming on the court's YouTube channel. Since this proceeding is being conducted through the remote video teleconferencing technology, I also announce that all parties are expressly prohibited from recording any portion of this hearing or the YouTube live streaming or the court's Zoom hearing. Only the court reporter for the 132nd District Court is permitted to record the proceeding, and that is being done just as he would do it if we were in person in court in a live proceeding. This is a live proceeding, but not in court. With those pronouncements, I first recognize Mr. Maxwell as attorney for petitioner. Are you and your client ready to proceed?
We are ready to proceed, Your Honor.
And then Ms. Gilstrap as attorney for respondent, are you ready to proceed? You and your client?
We are ready to proceed, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Maxwell, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, we call Lionel Lynn Pierce.
Mr. Pierce, would you raise your right hand and be sworn as a witness? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in this cause shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may lower your hand. You may proceed, Mr. Maxwell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Pierce, where do you reside?
1750 River Hills Road and 509 Water Street, Weatherford. And I go back and forth between my mother and my sister's house right now.
River Hills is in Stephenville.
I'm sorry, it's that's my old address. County Road 494 is my mother's address where I spend half the time.
That's in Stephenville.
Yes.
And then Waters Road was in Weatherford.
Yes.
Where do you work, sir?
I'm retired and I'm trying to do real estate.
You retired from Department of Public Safety?
Yes.
Right. How many years of service did you have, sir?
20, just over 23 is what I got credit for when I retired, I believe, almost 24.
23. What is 4104 Lotus Street, Texarkana?
It's a friend's address.
Yeah, that's where you were served in this case, isn't that true?
Yes.
Who lives at that address?
Amanda Talbot.
That would be your girlfriend?
It is.
Okay. And where are you selling real estate, sir?
I just moved everything to the Texarkana area, so I'm not selling anything at the moment, but that's where I'm going to try to do it.
See, and when is it that you say you moved to, well, you said you lived with your mother or your sister, but the fact of the matter is you're actually living in Texarkana, aren't you?
No.
So we just got lucky serving you at 4104 Lotus?
Objection,
Yes.
Your Honor. Asked and answered. He's harassing the witness.
Move on. Swan.
So how long have you been in Texarkana, sir?
Well, I'm not there yet. Still in the process.
All right. How much are you getting on a monthly basis in your retirement from DPS?
Before taxes, about 2,400.
And how much after tax?
I would be probably 1,800.
Where does that go?
To my account.
Is it direct deposited into an account?
Yes.
Which account's it direct deposited into, sir?
USAA.
And so you're stating under oath to this court that your payment is 1,700 or 1,800 a month after taxes. Is that correct?
I don't know what the after-tax amount would be.
Well, you just told us the before tax was 2,400.
That's
And
correct.
You told us under oath that the after tax was 1,700 to 1,800.
That's a guesstimate. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, would it surprise you to know, sir, that your bank statements show a direct deposit of $2,479.76?
Yes, sir. That's before taxes.
Excuse me, can I finish my question?
Sure.
Employee retirement system?
Did I answer you, sir?
No, I don't think so.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. You've stated under oath that your after tax was 1,700, 1,800. Yet your bank records show that the amount deposited in your account is $2,479.76 from Employees Retirement System of Texas.
That is correct, sir, and no taxes are withdrawn from that payment. So that's why before taxes, it's about 2,400, 2,479 sounds accurate.
Okay, so what
Taxes are
you're
done at
telling-
the end of the year.
What you're telling this court is that out of your retirement, they don't exclude any taxes.
They do not.
Straight $2,479.76 into your account.
That is correct.
And that would be the right figure coming on your retirement, correct?
Yes.
Where do you bank at, Mr. Pierce?
USAA.
Do you know that account number?
I know what it ends in, 5581.
All right. Do you bank elsewhere as well?
I have an account with First Financial, I believe.
Stephenville?
Yes.
And do you remember the last four of that account?
I do not.
Does 3836 sound right?
I wouldn't have a clue, sir.
Would you have more than one account at First Financial Bank?
No, sir.
You have an account at First Financial Bank at Odessa.
Well, it's the same account.
Then what is account number 3791?
I don't know.
Well, if you have several transfers from your USAA account to checking account number ending in 3791, what checking account would that be, sir?
It might be my sister's,
Your sister's account?
possibly.
How long have you been transferring money to your sister?
I paid her back for money that I owed her.
What money did you owe her, sir?
Well, I had to borrow quite a bit to make this transition that we're dealing with now.
What transition are we dealing with now?
Rent, utilities, insurance, just miscellaneous living expenses
Rent, utilities, living expenses for what, sir?
for me, sir.
Okay, where at? With your
Weatherford,
mother,
I
with
pay
your
half
sister,
or
or
I
with your
paid.
girlfriend? Which place?
Okay, I answered that already, sir. My sister's house is 509 Weatherford. That's where I pay rent at, sir.
Not what I asked you.
What did you
I
ask?
said, where are you paying the expenses at? Your mother's house, your sister's house, or your girlfriend's house?
My sister's house, sir.
Sister's house. And so when, if it's just happening, as you said, those payments to account number 3791 would have only just started in January, December?
No, couldn't tell you when I last did it. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about when you started doing it. When did you start making those transfers, sir?
I couldn't say.
Would it have been back in May, June?
I don't think so.
When did you and Ms. Pierce separate?
We haven't lived together in almost 2 years.
All right, and the reason for that is you were working out of town, is that correct?
That's one of the reasons.
All right. So 3791, you believe is your sister?
It must be. I don't know the number.
All right. Other than your retirement, do you have any other form of income coming in?
If I sell a house, I'll get something, but nothing at the moment.
When's the last time you sold a house?
Maybe November, maybe October, November, maybe I think November.
And where was that, sir?
Odessa, Midland area.
How many houses did you sell in the Odessa Midland area? Did you hear my question, sir?
No, sir.
I said, how many houses did you sell in the Odessa Midland area?
In the last year,
Let's just say the last 6 months.
maybe 3.
How much commission did you make off those?
Probably in the last 6 months, maybe 12,000, 10 to 12. I still haven't received my 1099 for that, so I really don't know.
What about Fort Worth, Weatherford, Texarkana? You sold any houses in any of those areas?
I have not yet. No, sir.
All right. Do you have any money in your accounts which belong to Miss Pierce?
No, I do not.
Now, her son receives, Miss Pierce receives Social Security disability, is that correct?
She does.
And her son receives that as well by virtue of their relationship. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. How much does he receive? Do you know?
Don't have a clue, sir.
Has Miss Pierce asked you about those funds?
Yes, and she's written herself checks for them.
Let me be more particular. Has Miss Pierce asked you about payments made by Social Security on behalf of her son?
Yeah, previously she has.
And you told her what?
She wrote herself checks for them
She wrote herself checks out of which account?
out of my account, sir.
When did she write those checks, sir?
I don't know. I'd have to go back to a bank statement to see. As far as I know, she's got everything.
Well, she just talked to you on January 4th about these checks, didn't she?
She asked about a stimulus check recently, and I haven't seen that.
Actually, it was deposited into your account on December 31st.
What's that?
Actually, his Social Security was deposited into your account on December 8th.
His Social Security was?
Yes.
I wasn't aware of that.
Well, she told you that.
She told me that?
Yes, she did in the conversation y'all had the other night.
Okay. I don't know about it.
Agree with me if it's not correct, sir.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's correct or not.
You can't remember a conversation that happened in the last 2 weeks regarding her son's Social Security check and her stimulus check?
No, sir, I cannot. I checked on the stimulus check. It has not been there. So she's
Well, actually, it arrived
mentioned.
on December 31st.
What's that?
It arrived on December 31st, sir.
A stimulus check?
Huh?
Okay.
IRS is sending out checks in the amount of $600. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Came into your bank on December 31st.
Yes, I did see a $600 deposit on that day.
So now you admit you have seen it.
That one.
431 that came in on December 8th.
431. I don't know about that one. I'll have to look.
You have no right to that money, correct?
I have no idea. I
Let's
don't know
just
if it's
talk
there or
about
not.
You have no claim to that 431 Social Security payment. Is that correct?
I guess that's correct.
So you don't have any problem paying her back for that?
I already have, sir.
Well, when did you do that, sir?
I've been giving her money this entire time, sir.
Okay, when? Tell us when and how much.
Let's see. She wrote herself a check for almost $4,000 in September to cover that, and she wrote herself another check in October for almost $1,500, if I'm not mistaken. I've paid all of her expenses up until this month: her cell phone, auto insurance, all her medical expenses. So I've been paying her monetarily and taking care of her expenses.
I've heard you, and Ms. Pierce will testify about what you pay, but I've heard you talk about paying your wife's expenses, but I have not heard you say one time that you paid her back the 431 that came from Social Security for her son.
As far as I know, sir, she's been reimbursed for everything that I owe her.
And if there was a $600 stimulus check deposited for her, do you have a problem paying that back?
Yes, sir.
What is that problem, sir?
She received a $1,200 stimulus check prior to that, and the other $600 is mine.
When did she receive the other $1,200 stimulus check?
Just a month or so ago, 2 months ago, maybe. I'm not sure.
How about May of 2020?
Of 2000 when?
20.
Okay,
That was the first round of stimulus checks.
okay.
And she got 1,200, you got 600.
I got 0 on that one, sir.
All right. This round of stimulus checks is the second round, and they started arriving in December.
Okay,
Latter part of December.
all right.
And so my question is, if that check went into this account, do you believe that she's entitled to that money?
No, sir, I believe her stimulus check should go to her account when it arrives.
What if it's direct deposited by virtue of that was the account the IRS had into your account?
When it is deposited, sir, I would gladly give it to her.
Well, it was deposited 12/31.
That was mine, sir.
Why didn't you say that earlier?
I didn't understand your question, sir.
Objection, Your Honor. He's harassing the witness. He keeps going. I don't know how many times he's going to ask the same question.
Well, Your Honor, until I get a proper answer, I intend to ask it until I get an answer.
And he's answered.
No, he just answered a different way this last time.
Listen, ask the questions and I'll rule on any objections.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Back and forth between the two of you is inappropriate.
I understand, Your Honor. Do you own any IRAs?
No,
Mr.
sir.
Pierce?
I don't know what an IRA is, sir.
Do you own any stocks, bonds, mutual funds?
I don't know what a mutual fund is, but I do own some stocks.
And what stocks are those?
Briggs and Stratton.
Do you have a trader account somewhere?
Charles Schwab.
And you've been buying things out of there throughout the marriage?
Buying them out of there? No.
No, you've been buying stocks throughout the marriage. That's my question.
No, not a.
Excuse me? You cut out a little bit. Is he frozen, Your Honor?
It looks like he's frozen. We can give it a minute.
Mr. Pierce?
April, maybe.
All right, Mr. Pierce, I'm gonna have to ask that question again.
I can hear him now. You asked,
Have you been buying those
Charles
stocks
Schwab?
throughout the marriage?
not throughout the marriage, no, sir.
What time frame have you been purchasing those stocks?
Whenever the big oil field crash happened this last year is when I started. Not sure on the date.
Now, how long have you and Ms. Pierce been married?
Just over 7 years, I believe.
You all married on or about May 29th, 2013, is that correct?
That's really close.
So through 2020, that'd be about 7 years and 7.5 years up to this point in time, 7 years, 7 months. So somewhere in that neighborhood, is that correct?
Sounds right.
When you retired with DPS, she'd been married to you how many years of your 23 years of service?
Maybe 5, I think.
5 years? And so would you agree with me, sir, that some portion of the money going into your account belongs to her anyway? Is that community property?
No, sir, I would not.
Well, let me ask you a couple more questions. Mr. Pierce, the money you earned with DPS, part of it was earned before marriage, correct?
Yes,
Part of it was earned during your marriage to Ms. Pierce, is that correct?
part of it.
And so if I understand your testimony correctly, despite the fact that it was earned during marriage, she's not entitled to any of it.
Objection.
I agree
Your
with
Honor.
that.
Objection, Your Honor. He's asking for a legal conclusion.
Objection's overruled. I'm not receiving his answer as a legal answer, a legal conclusion. You may
Thank-
ask the question.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ask your question
I
again.
didn't get the answer, Your
Ask it again.
Honor. Part of your DPS retirement was earned before you and Miss Pierce's marriage, correct?
True.
But at least 5 years of that was earned during your marriage to Miss Pierce, correct?
Correct.
But in your opinion, she's not entitled to any of that, correct?
Correct.
Do you know how much stock you have, the value of the stock you have at this point in time?
I don't know. It's not much.
Pierce, there are some items that your wife would like to obtain, and I believe they're at your sister's house. A 270 Weatherby, king-size bed, spare keys to the Challenger, and some pictures. Do you have any problem with her obtaining any of those items?
The rifle, yeah, she can have that. The keys, of course, if we can settle this. The bed she gave away.
Who'd she give it away to?
She gave that to my sister, so that's kind of between her and my sister.
Okay.
I don't know about pictures.
Well, if the judge were to tell her she could pick those items up at your sister's house, could you control your sister? You are aware that your sister sent some pretty hostile
I think
messages to Ms.
gross-
Pierce? Are you with us, Mr. Pierce?
Yes, I'm here. You're
Okay.
asking, can I control my sister?
Well, actually, I followed that up with another question because you weren't answering. Are you aware that your sister has sent some somewhat hostile messages to Ms. Pierce?
No.
Well, do you think you could see that your sister could act in a mature way if she were to go pick them up?
Couldn't imagine why she wouldn't.
All right. And what about there was a DPS issued shotgun that you gave to Corbin at Christmas time. What about that gun?
No, he's not getting that. I retired with that. That goes to my children, sir.
Did you in fact give it to him?
No, it was part of our household items, but no, not giving the shotgun up, sir.
All right. Well, my question though is, did you give it to him?
No,
Would there be any reason for there to be a Christmas picture of him with that gun? If you didn't give it to him?
if you call it a Christmas picture, I don't know if we could call it a Christmas picture, but you know, I've taken Corbin to the firing range 1,000 times and he's held every gun I have. So there's probably a picture of him with every gun that I own, sir.
Suffice it to say, at this point in time, your position is it wasn't a gift and you're not giving it to him, correct?
I don't want to, no, I'm not giving up the DPS shotgun that I retired with, sir. I have 2 children that rightfully own that.
Object, non-responsive. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Any questions, Ms. Gilstrap?
Yes, sir. Just a few. Okay, so she's asking about a bed. Let's start with there. Was there other furniture in the house when you sold your house?
Yes,
And who kept all of that furniture?
she did.
Okay. And when did the two of you sell your house?
I think the end of September,
Okay. And how much money did you get for that?
just over $11,000.
And did you get any of that money?
No,
Was all of that money used to pay off her car?
yes, pay towards her car, yes.
And did she sign your name to a check for $3,000 or close to $3,000?
No, that one, the one over 3,000, she signed her own name to, I believe.
Okay. Did she sign sign your name to a check?
Yes,
Okay. The money that you get from your retirement fund, is all of that deposited into your account?
yes,
Are any taxes taken out of it?
no,
And do you pay taxes on that at the end of the year?
yes.
Was there a $1,200 stimulus payment that y'all received?
Not recently, but I think he was accurate on the date. Yes,
During the summer, some point?
think so.
And did she take all of that?
Yes,
Okay. And this time the stimulus payment was half of that?
yes,
Okay. And you have kept that?
yes. It's still in my account.
Okay.
That's about all that's in my account, actually.
Since the September, when she claims y'all separated, how many times has she taken all of the money out of your joint account?
Pretty much every time a check hit, she would go on a shopping spree. So
Does she often go on shopping sprees?
only when there's money in the bank.
Is that a problem? Has that been a problem throughout your marriage?
That's why we're here today.
I think that the money, so how much did she get from the sale of the house?
11,000 even, exactly.
And then she's written herself 2 different checks totaling over 5,000.
Yes,
So do you think that 16,000 would be enough for to cover any temporary spousal maintenance for the next few months?
Your Honor, I object to the characterization. He's already testified 11,000 was paid on a car. So it's not available as temporary spousal support.
I couldn't hear you last. It was not available. What?
It was not available. It was paid on a car debt. And so it's not available as temporary spousal support. The other 2 checks that she's also talking about were issued sometime back during the summer.
Your Honor, he's testifying.
No, I'm objecting to the characterization of your question because you're assuming facts that are not in evidence.
Well, the objection's overruled. The answer, there was a question and there was an answer. Proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And does your wife suffer from a medical diagnosis?
she has multiple diagnoses. I'm not
That
sure.
calls for a conclusion this witness is not capable of making.
Overruled.
Does she have seizures?
Yes, she's been diagnosed with seizures.
And is she supposed to drive?
No,
And when she paid the money towards the car, did y'all discuss what would then be done with the car?
yes.
And what was the plan?
She would trade it in or refinance it in her name only.
And did you help her find someone that was willing to buy the car?
Yes.
And how much money was she going to get from selling that car?
Almost 15,000 from a dealership. So she, a little over 4,000 in her pocket.
And according to the petition, she's asking to keep 2 cars. Is that correct?
Well, yes, her petition mentions 2 cars, but there's more.
Okay. And can you tell us about another vehicle that she has?
A 1976 Ford F-150.
So did y'all discuss, let me read it. Before she filed for this divorce, had y'all discussed previously filing for divorce?
Yes,
Was this a surprise to you?
it was.
Did you think that y'all were going to have a mutual agreement when you filed for divorce?
Yes,
Is that why the house was sold?
yes,
And was it your belief that the agreement was she would keep the money, she would keep everything in the house, she would keep 3 vehicles?
yes.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I object to counsel testifying and leading the witness.
Overruled.
Do you feel that you have upheld your part of the agreement that the 2 of you made just a few months before she filed for divorce?
Yes, I have.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
I have nothing further from this witness, Your Honor.
You may call your next witness.
At this time, we'd call Tiffany Gale Pierce, Your Honor.
Ms. Pierce, would you raise your right hand and be sworn as a witness? You solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in this cause should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
Yes.
You are Tiffany Gale Pierce, is that correct, ma'am?
Yes.
Ms. Pierce, you filed this petition for divorce, seeking dissolution of marriage to Linnell Lynn Pierce, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, in your petition, you have requested exclusive use and possession of certain items. I've not heard an objection to any of those items. Have you?
No.
Okay, and that would be the car, and I believe there's another car, isn't there?
Yeah. The 2003 Ford Ranger that's supposed to be Corbin's.
Does your son drive that car?
Yes.
Is it paid for?
Yes.
Was it bought during the marriage?
Yes.
And then Ms. Pierce just said something about a 1976 Ford, I believe it's an F-150.
Yes, that was, we gave that to my father probably about a year ago, to pay him back for, Lynn retired from DPS and he was going to be working in Big Lake. And so he got a mobile home or RV and was going to need some repairs on it. So my dad paid for some repairs on that. And so in payment back to my father for those repairs he did on the RV, or gave us the money for that, Lynn and I both decided to give my father that truck. So my dad has that truck and the title to that truck.
Real quick, what was your understanding of the shotgun, DPS shotgun?
That my understanding was that was given to Corbin because he wanted his son to have that shotgun.
And was that done at on any special occasion or out at the
It was Christmas whenever Corbin opened his Christmas presents.
Now, you heard that your marriage is basically ending, according to Miss Pierce, because you go on a shopping spree every time a paycheck gets put in the bank. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that. I've heard it before.
Is that true?
No, he calls my shopping sprees going to Walmart and buying household items or going to the grocery store and buying food. Basically, anything that came out of the checking account while he was gone, even though it might have been items that he ate or used to.
Do you believe, ma'am, that he had 23 years of service when he retired from DPS?
Yes, I do.
All right. And you were married during that period of time. When did he retire?
It was February of 2018.
Okay, so at that point in time, you guys had been married 57 months.
Mm-hmm.
And if 23 years is the right number, as he stated, that'd be 276 months. Thereabout. Does that sound right?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Pierce, what income do you have coming into your household?
I get Social Security disability for myself.
Yeah, ma'am.
I get $950 a month. My son gets $437 a month through me from disability. And then I'm supposed to get $1,000 a month child support. And that's my income.
And that particular situation is in arrears $65,000
Yes.
child support obligation,
Yes.
and hadn't made a payment since October.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
You heard Mr. Pierce testify that y'all had some agreement about how this marriage was going to end. Is that true?
No.
You believe, do you not, that Mr. Pierce was in a relationship with somebody else long before you filed this divorce?
I do now.
Why now?
Because through some friends of mine, got pictures of this person in Texarkana that he's staying with, that he went to school with, that looking back on it now, ever since he's been living in Midland, Odessa, he has been talking and she'd been making comments on his Facebook. And then in July of last year, I got sick and was in the hospital, and his sister and his sister was planning a trip to Honduras. And then recently I found out that he went on that trip and took this new girlfriend too. So I think that therefore he's probably been in a relationship for longer than I've known.
Now, have you taken the time, ma'am, to sit down and kind of go through your monthly expenses?
Yes.
And in fact, those monthly expenses were then typed into a financial information sheet. Is that correct?
Yes.
And we have previously e-filed that and would now like to introduce Petitioner's Exhibit Number 1, which is the financial information sheet that was prepared by you. Is that correct?
Uh-huh.
We would offer Petitioner's 1, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
Petitioner's 1 is admitted.
Now that shows about $26.51 a month in expenses, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you don't have that there in front of you, do you?
No, I don't.
All right, that's one of the beauties of Zoom. Assume with me, if you would, ma'am, that your grand total monthly expenses are $26.51.48 in that exhibit. Okay. What you've told us so far is $13.87 in income.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you get child support, that would make it $23.87 a month in income. Well, in disposable funds for you to utilize for monthly.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So no matter what, you're in a shortfall position with your monthly expenses.
Yes.
Now, one of the things Mr. Pierce stated was that you are precluded from driving. Is that true?
No, I am under the care of a neurologist, and if I have a grand mal seizure, I am supposed to wait 3 months before I drive. And my last seizure was in July, and so I'm permitted to drive.
Was there any agreement by you to sell your car or anything of that nature?
No, he wanted me to, before, like immediately after, like he started texting me wanting me to go refinance my car, and I can't do that. I don't have any credit. I don't have any way to. I don't have a down payment. And then he sent me some information about a dealer in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I believe this was back in, it was probably August, maybe, with some kind of official offer of what they would give me. I don't know if it was trade-in or cash value for my car, but my car was still in the shop. So
Whose idea was it to apply the $11,000 received from the house to pay down on the Challenger that you drive?
that was his idea and his decision. And when the house sold, the money went directly into the bank account, and he did a certified check directly into my auto loan account. So I never had access to that money.
Did you have a conversation with him about Social Security funds and stimulus funds being deposited into his account?
Yes, I did.
And what did he tell you about that?
On the stimulus funds, I told him that I had talked to the IRS and that they said that Corbin and my stimulus had been deposited into USA accounts that were his. And he said he hadn't gotten those, and when they hit, he would let me know. And then on the for Corbin's Social Security benefits for December and for January of this month, I sent him a text and said that those went into his checking account that was 5581 that he had taken me off access to, that I didn't get those. And it showed that he got the text and read it, but he never replied to it.
And you did have access to those statements though, didn't you?
I do to the statements that the account ending in 5581 was previously our joint account, but he took me off where I don't have any access to it. But because when we moved, I thought we were
Okay, my question
all
was,
moving.
you have access. Your answer is what?
I don't have access to that account, but I still receive the statements in the mail.
From the documents you have reviewed, have those payments been received in his account?
Yes.
But he's taking a different position today with regard to those funds, is he not?
Yes.
Do you know anything about what he's talking about, a $4,000 check you signed in September?
The only thing I can think of that he's talking about is before I opened my new account to have my disability checks direct deposited into and my child support direct deposited into, when he wanted me out of our joint account. I told him that it would take like a check or two. And so he sent me a text that said that mine and Corbin's checks deposited in there to just write a check from that 5581 account and deposit it. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know what he's talking about, $5,000 worth.
Yeah, a $1,500 check. Are you aware what that was?
I have no clue. I don't. Unless it was something he told me to write a check for.
I mean, would you normally write a check of that nature without his permission?
No.
What would happen if you would have?
I would get in trouble.
We talked about the gun. I'm not going to go over that anymore, but your son also has a 270 Weatherby that was a gift that same Christmas, correct?
Yes.
And then there were a couple other items. There was a bed, king size bed, and spare keys to the Challengers and some pictures that you would like to retrieve from his sister's house. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable going to his sister's house to do that?
Not particularly.
Why is that, ma'am?
She sent me some pretty ugly text messages and can be pretty aggressive.
Do you recall his testimony today was the gun he hadn't given to your son, the bed you gave to his sister, but he thought the keys might still be at his sister's house, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Do you recall having a conversation with him on Saturday, December 26th regarding those three items?
Yes.
Do you remember asking him as to whether you could go through Weatherford and get yours and Corbin's stuff from Connie?
Yes.
Specifically, did you ask
sorry.
him if you could get Corbin's guns?
Yes.
And then did you tell him, but not the bed yet?
Correct.
And did he respond? Probably so. Your spare key is at Connie's too. She hadn't had a chance to mail it yet.
Yes.
And then did you ask him, are the guns there?
Yes.
And how did he respond to that?
He said yes.
Clearly, you're talking plural guns, correct?
Correct.
Are you asking that the court allow you or order that he bring those items to you?
Yes.
And then with regard to the support, ma'am, my calculations are right. Even if he pays, you're still about $300 short each month.
Yes.
Is that about right?
Yes.
But on the other hand, if my calculations are right, you're entitled to about $300 of his retirement pay each month.
Yes.
So you're asking the court to order him to pay you $300 a month?
Yes.
And actually, you'd like more than that, but at the very least, $300 a month.
Yes.
I'll pass the witness, John.
Ms. Gilstrap.
Hi.
Your Honor, you ready? May I
You may
proceed?
proceed.
Uh-huh.
Good afternoon, Ms. Pierce.
Hi.
Before you filed for this divorce, had y'all been discussing getting a divorce?
Lynn had called me and said he wanted a divorce when he told me, and he said he was going to file internet papers, and kept telling me they're coming, and I never received anything from him.
And have y'all been separated for almost a couple of years now?
No.
When
No.
when was the last time y'all spent the night together in your house?
The day that we moved everything out of our house, when we moved
Okay, and
in
okay,
September 1st.
okay. Before the time that y'all came back together to move everything out of the house, when did y'all spend the night together? When were y'all last living together as husband and wife?
We'd just gotten back from a trip to Virginia to see my stepdaughter, probably a week or two before that. He was coming home every other weekend when he was off. So I thought,
Okay, and
just like normal.
okay, thank you. So you've testified that there's money that was directly deposited into the account that was your joint account. Is that correct?
Yes, it was our joint account.
And do you also have bills that automatically come out of that account?
Not anymore. We did.
But you did.
Yeah, at one time.
The money that was directly deposited was also taken out to pay bills, such as your phone bill.
Not since like December. I mean, not since October, probably.
When did he last pay your phone bill? Or when, let me rephrase that. When was your phone bill last paid out of that account?
I'm not sure if he still has the same plan that he had all of our phones on. I currently have my own Verizon plan with my son and me.
Objection, non-responsive, Your Honor.
Sustained is the last portion of the answer.
Thank you, Your Honor. When was the last time your car insurance was taken out of that account?
That was September.
Are you testifying that you've been paying car insurance separately since September?
Yes.
For how many vehicles?
For my car and for the Ford Ranger. I have a policy with Farm Bureau.
Does your son have a driver's license?
Not yet. He still has his permit.
I have a question about those bank statements. Let's go back to that. You said that you are no longer on the account.
I no longer have access to like withdraw money or have like use the debit card or anything.
And statements are delivered to your house?
Yes, because when we moved,
Non-responsive, Your Honor.
Well, I don't know if it was or wasn't.
do I answer or?
You can ask another question.
Hey, when those statements come to your house, who are they addressed to?
They have Lynn's name on them, but they have the forwarding address sticker with our family name over it.
So these are, how many bank statements have you received?
One.
And you opened that mail?
Yes. It was our joint account.
And when was the last time you had a seizure?
In July of, what was it, this last July, July 4th.
Of 2020?
Mm-hmm.
And we just had to make sure 2020 has been a crazy year. I got it. Were you in the ER in November?
No, I mean, I have shoulder problems. I've gone to the doctor for my shoulder.
Okay.
I might have I've had a few MRIs and x-rays on my shoulder.
Okay. The seizures that you have those been classified as, or are those pseudo seizures?
No.
Have you been told that by a few doctors?
No, they're epileptic seizures.
Have you been told by a doctor that they're pseudo seizures?
No.
You've never been told. Have you ever heard of that name, pseudo seizure?
Yes, I have, but
Did you hear that from a doctor?
no. I mean, I know it because I'm a nurse, but
Have any of your neurologists ever said these are pseudo seizures?
That's the
No,
first time she
no.
asked that question. Object. It's repetitive.
No.
When was the last time you tested positive for drugs?
Don't know. I had surgery in November. So probably then when I had surgery.
And was that an illegal drug?
No.
Have you ever tested positive for marijuana?
No. I took CBD oil one time and went to the ER and it comes up as THC because of its CBD oil.
So let me ask you again. Did you test positive for marijuana? For
I'm
THC?
object to relevance. It's been asked and answered. It's irrelevant anyway.
Overruled.
It's not a custody case. There's no issue with regard to that. It's not been, anyway, that's my objection.
You may answer the question.
I guess yes, if that's
And you testified that the child support that you're receiving is 65,000 in arrears.
mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you recently bring an enforcement action?
What do you mean recently?
Let me rephrase. When was the last time you brought an enforcement action?
In 2019?
Okay. And was he put on probation for 10 years?
Yes.
Was he ordered to make payments to you?
Yes.
And is he making payments, not just current child support, but for the arrears?
He's supposed to.
When did he stop making those payments?
He has not made a payment since October.
Have you brought another enforcement?
No, because they have to be over 3 months behind and the Attorney General's office has to do it.
The Attorney General's office has to bring the enforcement?
Yes, or I would have to contact my lawyer in Erath County and they have to be over 3 months past due is what they told me.
Do you recall spending, in just the last couple of months, did you spend $800 on a trip to Walmart?
Not that I remember.
How about $1,400 at Kroger?
No.
Objection, Your Honor.
Your testimony that you,
Hold on.
I mean,
I'm
was
sorry,
it 10
Mr.
years
Maxwell.
ago?
I'm sorry, Mr. Maxwell. I didn't hear your objection.
I object, Your Honor. It is overbroad. There's no time frame in there. I mean, is that 20 years ago that she spent $1,400? When?
All right. Sustained is on that basis. You may clarify, Ms. Gilstrap.
did you spend $800 going to Walmart in the last 6 months?
Was it one trip? Was it?
Yes.
What was it for? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't recall that. So
Well, is $800 a normal amount that you'd spend in one trip to Walmart?
no, it's not.
Okay. And how about a trip to the grocery store in the last 3 months that was between 13 and 1400?
No.
When the 11,000, I'm not sure of the exact amount, when that amount was paid towards your car, did you know that was happening?
Yes, Lynn told me that's what he was gonna do with the money when the house sold.
Okay, so you knew you were getting all of the money from the house, sale of the house.
Well, I knew it was going to the car payment.
And when all of the property was taken out of the house, did you get all of that property?
It went to the storage container that we had rented.
Okay, and do you have that now?
It's behind my parents' house because that's the only place we had to put it because that's where we were supposed to be staying.
Are you going to use that furniture?
Probably, yes.
Is there any reason that you can't? What you're testifying to is that you don't have the money to pay all of your bills. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you know how much Mr. Pierce makes, correct?
Well, I know some of what he makes.
Okay. So does it seem like there's enough money there to pay everybody's living expenses
From his,
from both of y'all's?
yeah, from what the bank statement that I saw looks,
Okay. Is there any reason you can't sell some of the stuff that you got from the house?
yeah, because a lot of, like, there's several pieces of furniture. Most of the furniture that was in the house is going to be, like, is my son's furniture or is going to be used or isn't really worth much. I mean,
Okay, but you testify that you got everything out of the house, all the property out of the house except this one king size bed, and you've got the proceeds from the sale of the house. Is that correct?
That's a
I didn't get-
miscalculation. Hold on. She did not testify that she got the proceeds from the sale of the house. The testimony has been from everybody that it went directly on a car payment.
And are you asking, I'm sorry, Your Honor, did you want to rule on that?
The testimony is what the testimony is. You may proceed.
Okay. And are you asking the court to grant you both of those vehicles?
yes.
Okay. And one other question on the vehicle. I apologize if this is a little out of order. Did Mr. Pierce know that you were borrowing money from your dad?
Yes.
Did y'all have an argument about that when he found out you had borrowed money from your dad?
No. No.
Can you work right now?
No.
Do you know if you will be able to work soon?
No.
How many bedroom suites are in the furniture that you have now?
They're like just beds or bedrooms? I mean, what do you mean by suits? Like,
How many bedrooms worth of furniture did y'all take out of the house and did you take to your parents?
there is Corbin. 3 bedrooms.
Okay. Is there a living room furniture,
Yes.
dining room furniture,
Yes.
washer and dryer?
Uh-huh.
You have all of that.
Yes.
Do you have are there any other guns at issue?
What do you mean?
Let me rephrase that. Which guns are at issue in the divorce?
The rifle, the Weatherby, and then the shotgun that he gave Corbin.
And do you have a pistol?
Yes, I have a 38.
And do you have that?
Uh-huh.
Is there anyone you know of that both of y'all would feel comfortable standing by while you go pick up the gun and the keys to the vehicle?
What do you mean? Like that I would have comfortable going with me to pick it up?
Yes, or meeting you there to make you feel safe. Whatever will make you feel safe.
I mean, I'm sure we could find somebody.
Is there a lockbox that you have in your possession that you had agreed to take to his sister's house?
Yes, and I will gladly take it to her house.
Okay. In these temporary orders, before we go to final, would you be in agreement to meeting him at his sister's house with someone else around that would make you feel comfortable? Is that something that you could agree to?
Do what?
Could you agree to meeting Mr. Pierce at his sister's house with someone else there
To get the stuff?
to exchange the lockbox, the rifle, and the keys to the vehicle?
Yes, or whatever the court says we can exchange. Yes.
And you realize there's other property that we will probably address before final orders.
Yeah.
Okay. But you can agree that if we get that stuff done now, that would help move things along?
Yes.
Do you have a progressive insurance policy?
No.
Car insurance?
No, that was our previous one that was all of our vehicles together.
Okay. And when did that expire?
I'm not sure. I got my own policy in September.
Did you get an email in December telling you that the insurance expired in December?
I have no idea.
did you inadvertently forward an email to him that told you your insurance expired in December?
I have no idea, but I didn't have a progressive policy since September.
Why did you get your own insurance?
Because he told me I needed to.
But you knew that you had insurance with Progressive?
Yes, because he said he was going to get his own and told me I needed to get my own.
When y'all lived together, how long was he getting retirement while y'all lived together?
From February of 2018 till now.
So y'all have filed taxes together while he was getting his retirement?
Yes.
Okay, so you understand that that taxes aren't taken out of his retirement check?
Okay.
You understand that?
I guess.
Okay, and he pays taxes on the retirement at the end of the year?
I didn't know that. We usually get money back because of my medical bills. So I was under the impression he gets taxes taken out before.
Did you sign the tax return?
He actually usually signs it for me.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
Real quick, Ms. Pierce. You were asked about pseudo seizures.
Yes.
Is that what the Social Security Administration determined you had was pseudo seizures?
No, I get Social Security disability because I have epilepsy and chronic Lyme disease with some other comorbidities.
Well, what she's suggesting is perhaps your seizures are fake or psychosomatic, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Was your seizure in July a real one or a fake one?
It was a real one.
Were your seizures before that real or fake?
Objection, Your Honor.
They were real.
Testimony. No one other than him has ever brought up fake seizures.
Oh, okay, Your Honor. I thought pseudo seizures was exactly that, Your Honor.
Doesn't matter. The objection's overruled. You can answer the question that was asked.
Sorry, what?
Any of the seizures you've had been fake or real?
No, real. I've had where they hook me up to EEG monitors and they can actually see me having epileptic seizures. Of course, if you're not hooked up, but I take medication for them and they don't just medicate you for epilepsy, just
All right.
because.
You mentioned earlier you might have been taking an MRI of your shoulder.
Yes.
Is that something you've damaged during a seizure?
Correct. I've had both shoulders damaged and one of them partially replaced, and I'm about to have the other one. I've had surgery on it and about to have it surgery again.
You know, we talked earlier about a conversation you had with Mr. Pierce by text about guns. Do you recall that?
Yes.
At the time of that conversation, did you already have your 38?
Yes, I've had
You
it.
had it since when?
Oh, probably 2015, I
No, but
believe.
my question is, when did you get it in your possession
Oh, I've always had it.
when you and he separated? Did you have it from that point forward?
Yes, yes.
That's all I have, Jan.
Any further questions, Ms. Gilstrap?
I have no further questions at this time, Your Honor.
All right.
We'd rest, Jan.
And Your Honor, I would ask for a quick 5-minute recess.
You don't have to. I was in the process of trying to say we're going to take a short recess. Do the parties wish to confer, do the attorneys wish to confer with their clients during this recess?
Yes, Your Honor.
That'd be fine, Judge.
I'm not requiring it.
Well, I mean,
I don't need to.
you can walk out of the room and go to it if we're going on a recess. So,
But you would be on,
That is not my reason for requiring a recess at this point.
it doesn't matter. I'm requiring it. And so, Ms. Gilstrap, I'm going to put you and Mr. Pierce in a breakout room, and you'll be in room 1. And Mr. Maxwell, you and Mrs. Pierce will be in room 2. You can open, you can exit anytime you want, but we're going to reconvene in 10 minutes. We're in recess.
thank God.
Evans.
Let's see.
Mr. Maxwell, I have brought you back into the courtroom.
There she is.
All right, we're back on the record and cause number 27,000. Should be a fairly easy number to remember. For the case started in the matter of the marriage of Tiffany Gale Pierce and Lionel Lynn Pierce. The record will reflect that both attorneys and both parties are present back in the courtroom. Mr. Maxwell has rested.
Your Honor, I would like to undo that. I move the court to allow me to ask a couple more questions of my client.
You may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Pierce, one of the things that Ms. Gilstrap was questioning you about was all this alleged money that you had taken for Kroger's and Walmart.
Mhm.
You never saw anything to that effect, did you?
No,
There was no
No.
exhibit show to you, nothing, correct?
no.
All right. On the account number 2558-1, which was y'all's joint account through USAA, correct?
Yes,
The balance on that account as of January 4th of this year was $89.5347. Is that correct?
yes,
So Mr. Pierce is sitting on about $9,000. And they want
Yes.
to sell a bunch of used furniture to make enough money to live on in this case.
yes.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Any other questions, Ms. Gilstrap? You're muted.
Sorry. Give me 1 second, Your Honor. When was the last time you looked at the bank account?
I got a statement the other day that had been forwarded to my house that was the statement ending date was 1/4 of 21.
And is this the account that you told us earlier you had only received one statement from?
Yes, it was what was previously our joint account.
Okay, and you said that you had looked. Did you testify that you had received a statement in November?
No, it's the December through January 4th of 21 statement.
Okay. Okay, I pass the witness, Your Honor.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Gilstrap, do you have anything further?
I'm sorry, one more question for her. That money that you're speaking of, did you, after that balance was in the account, did you write a check to yourself for over $3,000?
No, no,
Have you ever signed his name to a check?
not without his permission.
Have you ever signed his name to a check?
Yes, with his permission.
And one for approximately 3,000?
No,
Since y'all separated, have you written a check to yourself for over $3,000?
Judge, I'm gonna, if that's been asked and answered.
Overruled.
not that I'm aware of.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness and ask her if she has seen this check?
Can you share it?
That's what I'm asking. I guess we're not approaching witnesses anymore. We're sharing our screens.
Yeah. Can you see that, Ms. Pierce?
Mm-mm.
Hold on.
Okay, and I'm sorry, can y'all see this?
Am I supposed to be able to see it, Your Honor?
I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay.
Let me ask my coordinator, who assists me greatly in these areas. Have we enabled the screen share?
Yes, sir.
So Ms. Gilstrap should be able to share a screen. There we go.
Okay, that's not the one that I want, but
I'm concerned that's a part of my screen, not my screen, but that was the exhibit.
yes.
You would operate from the new. So you know how to operate it.
Ms. Phipps, when I go to share screen, it's displaying the
Okay,
pages.
can y'all see that?
There we go. That's better.
Okay. This check right here. Do you remember writing this check for $3,952?
Can you make it bigger?
I can't see.
I can't see. Can I click on
Can you see that now?
it? Uh-uh.
No, I can't see what the date is or.
That's fine, Your Honor. That's fine.
Is there no way to make it bigger, Gina?
I can't, but that's okay. That's fine. That some of that we can discuss before final. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
I have nothing further, John.
Okay. Anything further, Ms. Gilstrap?
No, sir, Your Honor.
All right, does either party desire a short final summation?
Judge, I'll be very brief. As we've shown the court, Ms. Pierce has very limited funds from which to live on. Part of the problem is due to the fact that Corbin's dad is not paying child support as Ms. Pierce would certainly like. But even with that, she's in a shortfall. And as we've demonstrated in court, Mr. Pierce is sitting over here with $9,000 in his account as of January 4th and doesn't want to share any of that with her. In addition, Your Honor, that retirement is, well, and in that connection, Your Honor, we know at least 431 of that is Social Security money for this kid. In addition to that, part of his retirement is going to be community property as well. And although I couldn't do an exact calculation under these circumstances, it's almost $300 at the very least. But then in addition to that, Your Honor, we have this 8953 sitting in an account. Take off 431, that's still $8,500 sitting in this account that is community property. And Ms. Pierce certainly doesn't have access to that kind of money. And so, Your Honor, we'd suggest that there perhaps be some division of that in a division of his retirement to provide Ms. Pierce some income in the interim.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gilstrap, any final summation?
Yes, Your Honor. The parties have contemplated divorce for a while. They came to an agreement on what they were going to do. The house was sold. All of the proceeds from the house were applied to the car that she's keeping. She kept the other car. She kept all of the property or all of the furniture in the house. She's kept everything. The money that's, he's testified that he doesn't have that much money in the account. She's taken money out of the account every time anything is put in it. She's testified that she knew her bills, some of her bills were being paid with the money from that account. So it's like she wants to double dip and get everything plus more. When this, we would like to go to mediation and figure out the property issues, but in the meantime, he can't afford to pay her money just because she's not getting her child support from the child's father.
Okay, thank you.
That's all we have, Your Honor.
Let me ask one clarifying question. Is it undisputed that the Social Security payment for the child is in Mr. Pierce's account and thus belongs to Mrs. Pierce?
I think it's his testimony or his belief, his thoughts that money was used to pay bills that were automatically still coming out of the account. But if she wants, if he's ordered to pay $400, whatever that amount was, he's not going to argue that point.
All right. I think that was my understanding of the testimony. And whether other funds have been paid or not paid, that's a subject of that's a matter for another. That is another subject. All right. So here's the ruling of the court and my rationale. Mrs. Pierce can retrieve the 270 rifle and the spare keys to her vehicle. And all other items of furniture is awarded to the party in possession for these temporary orders, but that is not intended to be a division of property, just a temporary possession. In other words, the DPS shotgun will remain in Mr. Pierce's possession at this time. The king-size bed at sister's house will remain there, but it is not to be disposed of pending, unless the parties agree in writing that one or the other can take possession of it. But even then, it's not to be disposed of. There is community aspect of the retirement benefits, and I'm going to order Mr. Pierce to pay $300 each month to Mrs. Pierce. And just my rationale is, without the exact calculations, that's probably in a very inexact calculation on my part. That's a little bit more than what I think is half of the gross payment towards retirement benefits each month. And so I'm going to order that paid, but my rationale is when we come to the final and we're dividing up the assets, including those aspects of the retirement benefits that are in fact community property, I'm not going backwards. I'll go forward. Mr. Pierce will also pay $431 to Mrs. Pierce, and that will represent Social Security benefits that were deposited into the account that he has control over. And those belong to Mrs. Pierce's son through her Social Security disability matters. All other matters will be reserved till time of final. The $300 obligation, pay $300, will start in this month. So he owes $300 for this month, $300 when he gets his next retirement check, $300 after that, and so on until we get to we can do a final hearing. I don't care if that's called temporary spousal support or a distribution of a partial distribution of community property on an ongoing basis. I think it would be better called a temporary spousal support, but just understand I'm not going to go before the final division of that retirement benefit and recapture. Does everybody understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
Do you understand, Mr. Maxwell, what I'm saying about that?
I believe I do, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. I believe that covers everything we've discussed. Let me ask Ms. Gilstrap, what provision needs to be in the order, if any, for the return of the temporary return of the 270 rifle and the spare keys to her vehicle?
Your Honor, since the petitioner has stated that she has some reservations, we will go out of our way to make her safe. Whoever she wants to bring, she just lets us know and we'll make sure that happens.
All right. Let me let me say that I think it's undisputed that the 270 rifle is not a part of the property division in this case. I think it's undisputed that that particular firearm belongs to Corbin. And so it's just a matter of picking it up. Mr. Maxwell, are you and your client okay with picking it up? Tell me if you have any issue with what needs to be done to make sure she can safely pick up that those two items.
Judge, Ms. Pierce, do you have anybody coming from the Dallas-Fort Worth area that would be going through Weatherford? Where's your brother at?
He is in North Carolina right now.
That's not feasible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you get your dad or somebody to go with you to do that?
Yes. Yes.
Judge, we can do that.
And when do we want to do that?
When would you like to do that, man?
Can I let y'all know a better date after I discuss
Ms. Gilstrap, and I think we
dates?
can handle that, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll bring the box too that he needs.
Thank you for mentioning that because I left that out. Yes, you'll take that lock box
Yes.
when you pick up the rifle and the
Yes.
keys. Okay, and I'll leave that to the attorneys for a timing standpoint. Anything else?
Judge, I've got two things. One, I believe there were two 431s deposited into his account, one on December 8th and one on January 8th. That was Ms. Pierce's testimony, and I believe that's what Social Security is stating.
And there was testimony that insurance and phones came out of that account.
All right, here's how I want to rule on that. I assume, which is a very poor thing for a judge to do, that is reflected on the bank statement, the USAA account statement.
The December is, Your Honor. I don't have the January, so I don't know.
I believe also medical insurance comes out of that.
Well, are you saying, Mr. Maxwell, that there is going to be a $431 deposit into that account in January?
Yes, I think there will have been one on January 8th or 9th, somewhere in that range. We know there was one in December, and Social Security has advised her there was also one in January. They will now go to a different account. Did I state that correctly, Ms. Pierce?
Yes. Yes. The one for December was 431 and the one in January was for 437. And it was on January the 8th.
And that's based upon what somebody has told you from the Social Security Department
Yes, sir.
or administration.
Yes. And those were just Corbin's checks.
I understand.
Yes.
But she's received that bank statement. We haven't, so.
All right.
Fortunately, we will have to exchange that.
Well, here's what. Yes. Here's
My
how.
client will agree to give her both if they're both there.
That's all right. Here's what that's touching on what I think is the proper solution. Upon presentation of the checking account statements from USAA reflecting the Social Security deposits, be they 431 or 437 or something else, that have been deposited, if they reflect that they have in fact been deposited into that checking account, they will be, Mr. Pierce will reimburse or pay Mrs. Pierce for those amounts. So if Mr. Pierce wants to pay the January deposit to Ms. Pierce before a statement is issued, he may do so. Otherwise, it's after we see that everybody gets to see the deposit, the statement. So Ms. Pierce will furnish the December statement showing whatever deposit was made for Social Security. And we think it's in the sum of $431. If there is a deposit that's substantially different from $431, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a $431 payment. If there is another one in January, be it 431 or 437 or something very similar to that amount, then Mr. Pierce will have the obligation to make a payment of that amount to Ms. Pierce. And he may do that at any time, but he must do so within 5 days after that statement comes out or is furnished to him, either by Ms. Pierce if it comes to her. And I'm trying to think of every possible problem that I don't think the parties themselves will have, but either party receiving that January statement from the USAA account is ordered within 24 hours to deliver it to the other party. That may take longer than 24 hours for if you try to deliver it by mail. And then within 5 days thereafter, if it hasn't already been paid, if in fact there is a deposit there, Mr. Pierce will make that reimbursement, refund, whatever it's called, to Mr. Pierce for that amount. Clear enough?
I think so, Your Honor. I was going to have Melanie go ahead and e-file this first bank statement as an exhibit for today. And that way Ms. Gilstrap can have that as of today. Or would you prefer me just to email it directly to you, Ms. Gilstrap?
You can just email it to me.
Okay. We'll do
I
that.
think that's a better idea. Quite frankly, the parties might prefer not to have personal records in the electronic world of the court.
I agree.
I agree with that, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
The only other item I have, Your Honor, I'd like to touch upon is there's stimulus money that we're not sure where it's at. I know that there's been one deposit of 600. Huh?
That's true of 3/4 of the country.
Well, I know there's $600 been deposited already. And he says that's his money. That's fine. Then there should be an additional 12 that belongs to Ms. Pierce and her son.
Right now, I don't have enough information in which to make a ruling on that. Y'all make your own notes to provide me with evidence of where those deposits are, if they are made, if they are received, and I can take it up at a later date if the parties don't reach a resolution between themselves through attorneys.
I believe that's all I had, Your Honor.
Anything else, Ms. Gilstrap?
As long as you order Mr. Maxwell to draft, I will be happy.
He's more questions than I did, Your Honor. She should have to do it.
I thought you were the one who always wanted to draft. I'm not signing an order at all unless one of you draft it and present it to me in proper form. How about that?
We will take care of that, Your Honor. We're petitioning.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We're in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.